because everything that he has, everybody wants. Like most males admire what he has. For example, he has the money, the cars, and the girls, and he has class also, which is basically what every man dreams of or wants to live that life.
Yep. All right. Next up is me. As we know, James Bond has had many actors throughout the ages, and this is because typically he's an action figure. Action figures can't be played by old dudes. So Sean Connery, for instance, now he's not very. Back in the day, of course, he was a very handsome man, but now I don't think he'd be a very good role for James Bond. So this changing of roles is a great opportunity for introducing new males, and these males can move on with society's ever-changing views on masculinity. So as you can see, if you go to the next couple of pictures, keep going. Here, no, that's good. Sorry. Here you can see that a big thing is the chest hair. Do men have chest hair or not? And this has been changing. Sean Connery started off really hairy man. Pierce Brosnan was, but Roger Moore and Daniel Craig, they were definitely not. They were with no hair. And this can be manly in both ways. To have hair, it's a very manly thing because obviously females don't have chest hair all over the place. And well, that's hopefully the case. And but then again, in this case, it's also very manly to not have any hair and just show off all your muscles. This can be very intimidating to a certain extent. But then again, because he follows it, because they're changing the actor, they can move on with society's changing views of masculinity. And in this way, Bond doesn't follow the ideals of masculinity. If he doesn't set the ideals, he follows them, and he thereby reinforces them, reflects them, and challenges them. So, as Sam said, he's a role model, and he's an ideal. So this is because he's perfect, he's got everything, and this makes him perfect for advertising as well. As Sam mentioned, he wears an Omega watch all the time, and well, it's not really that it's advertised with commercials on TV and stuff, but whenever you do see it, there's a good 3-4 second shot on it, so you can take a good look at it, see the brand, and admire it. Then there's the car. It's kind of a necessity, but it's also, again, it's a form of advertising. And we have Coca-Cola and Heineken, and for the movie Skyfall, they've really taken it far, and they have really tried to bring their two products together with the image of James Bond. Goes to the Coca-Cola. Here you can see that they have the slogan, "Unlock the 007 with you," so if you drink our drink, you can be like him. And this shows that people are willing to be like him, and why are they willing to be like him? Well, we think that masculinity is one of these factors, that you can be cool with like him. Then the physique, as we showed before. And then there's the health as well. In the early days, Bond was a sophisticated man. He was a heavy smoker and drinker. This wasn't necessarily masculine, because everyone did it, if you were masculine or not, but not doing it as a man would be considered not masculine. So it's kind of, yeah. And then again, this has been changed because since 2002, Die Another Day, bottom picture, there hasn't been a cigarette or cigar on James Bond movies. This was the last one that was ever smoked. It was a Cuban cigar in Cuba, so that already makes it okay. I mean, going to Cuba, smoking a Cuban cigar, it's not really that bad. But even in the movie Tomorrow Never Dies, Pierce Brosnan refers to it as it being a filthy habit. So comparing it to Sean Connery, who almost all the time had a cigarette in his mouth when he was out, this shows how it's been changed. And why has it been changed? Well, society's views on it has changed as well. So over to Rudy.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a maybe more boring aspect, the language, because people want to watch James Bond to see the action in it. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you 4 sets of quotes from 4 different movies, and with the 4 main characters of James Bond: Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig. To start off, we're going to do Dr. No, which is a movie with Sean Connery. His first movie ever. This was the first Bond movie ever. This started the trend, the franchise of Bond. It was based on the international bestseller, Dr. No. And then Ian Fleming wrote the books, but it was done by somebody else. Anyways, Sean Connery was the 50s and 60s Bond. So where masculinity was back then is completely different as to what it is now. So, for example, he was a misogynist. He was a brute. He felt no remorse in doing reprehensible acts such as killing. He had no remorse doing so, and he treated women as reward. So after he did all the hard work, he'd feel as if it was normal to go and be a lady killer. Like he was. This can be seen in the second quote.
When did you say you had to leave, Mr. Bond?
Immediately, almost. Immediately. So it shows how it's this cocky and arrogant way of flirting. Yeah, it's done like in this way and gentlemanly, if that's a word, but whatever. It is still arrogant, but it's okay, and it shows how he treated women as rewards. Onto the two quotes. The first one and the second quote. These are legendary quotes in cinema. For example, the first quote, I admire your courage, Miss
Trench, Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond, James Bond. So this was a classic phrase in the first movie and was used over and over again in all his movies, such as the third quote.
What may it serve you, sir?
Vodka martini, shaken, not stirred. So this shows determination and direct, straight to the point, bold. He knows what he wants, and he will stop at nothing to get it. Of course, this is just a very simple example, but it just it's an overview of how men express themselves, direct, and they know what they want. So on to the next set of quotes by Octopussy, which occurred in the movie Octopussy with Roger Moore. This was a movie in the 70s, which came out in the 70s. Roger Moore was a 70s and 80s James Bond. He was he was different than his predecessor. He was more respectful of women, and this can be seen also in all of his movies, as women took a bigger part in society's work. You could see, for example, I think it is in Goldfinger, which is one of his movies. You see pilots, which are women, and this is generally a male job. However, we can see how that women become more involved in society. So, in this first quote,
this is for my brother.
And that's for level 9. So this shows the study of revenge, and this evokes pride. So by accomplishing revenge, you save your pride and the person you're avenging. So this is a very masculine aspect, and very, very important, that has not changed ever since men feel the need to keep their pride. It is a well-known fact. So this portrays very well how Bond is a man in the sense that he wants to avenge his friend. However, he's become more respectful of women, but it's still an arrogant way of flirting. So
I don't know how to say goodbye.
Actions speak louder than words. So it's kind of hinting as to what he wants, and he gets what he wants, and this is what Bond does. He doesn't stop until he gets what he desires. So on to the next set of quote, which is from The World Is Not Enough, with Pierce Brosnan, which is one of the best Bonds in my opinion. So I'm in Q. Okay, well they say this multiple times throughout his movies, and it's like, oh, grow up, 007. So this shows how it shows this idea of childhood, and how even though you have one of the most important jobs in your country, and it's very stressful, and that if you mess up once, it might mess up your whole country government and everything. It shows how men can still find a time and to have a little fun. He was playing, if I remember correctly, he was playing with gadgets in this movie, so he was just shooting little gadgets around. So this shows how well, men are still have a little boy inside them, which is one of the first movies where they expressed that. They never showed that before, but it's been a true thing. And then this also represents midlife crisis, which has become more popular in the 90s. And Pierce Brosnan is the James Bond of the 90s. A key aspect that has also changed with Pierce Brosnan is that he's become more respectful of women. Well, he has to since his boss became a woman, M, pretty much, as Sam said earlier, Judy Dench. It shows, and we can see this motherly relationship growing between them, and so he becomes attached to this woman, not in the usual way, in a motherly way. So we can see, like, the two next quotes, that he is still a lady killer, but that he's changed. He's become more, that he respects women's choice. For example, we can see with here how she says no, and that he keeps on persevering, and it shows how, well, he respects women's choices, but at the same time he wants to get what he wants from situations.
You've got about 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, one more song, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, on to the last set of quotes with Skyfall, which is the latest movie. And this is with Daniel Craig, which is a 21st century Bond. And he is playing, he's the transition by that, Bond. We can see, well, never mind, we would show the trailer, we won't have time, so we can see that he's put into the light. It's focused on him, not like his women and his cars and his everything. However, it is a very big marketing movie, and we can see Alan Koenig of the Galaxy in this movie. But anyways, he's in the spotlight, and we see how he's struggling with the changing faces of society. For example, the first quote, it shows how this old man, James Bond, is struggling with the fact that Quartermaster is now a young geek, which can do more things in his pajamas and his computer than he could, like, in a lifetime. So, and the whole movie is the weapons used to be nuclear weapons and like actual like guns and everything. Now it's technology, so we can see how technology is changing, and that masculinity has to cope with it. And that we can see through this movie that he's accepting the fact that he's actually changing, and that he's a smart guy, so we can relate to that. And then these two quotes show this idea of determination and immortality, which are two very important aspects of masculinity, as well, determination, as I said earlier, but immortality, it shows that even though there's like these new barriers coming in, like technology, and like women are rising, and like so men have less control of everything, they are still struggling and fighting, but we're still quite immortal in a way. And then this last quote, Skyfall is the first movie where we see James Bond cry, and it's one of the first movies where we've ever seen him talk to a psychiatrist. And this is very interesting, how it's very direct discussion. And then
basically, the psychiatrist says a word, and he has to reply in one word straight away to see what he said.
It's like word association.
Yeah, word association.
So,
and then,
country.
England.
Gun.
Shot.
Agent.
Bitter.
Murder.
Employment.
Skyfall. Skyfall.
And then so he walks out, and then it shows this idea of how men still have boundaries, and that men are more private nowadays, and that well, we go to psychiatrists to talk about our problems, and in this movie they talk about his problems with alcohol, his childhood issues, and so these are more 21st century things, because back in the day you wouldn't go to a psychiatrist, it would be absurd to do so. Nowadays it is considered normal, and therefore, well, James Bond is doing it, so it's not that big of a deal anymore. So even though like aspects have changed such as physique, so like the hair growing out and like stop smoking, one of the things that hasn't changed with James Bond is his way of expression, direct, bold, and straight to the point. So this is determination, which is a real everlasting aspect of Bond and of men.